syntax analysis. So sa previous na tong lesson, we discussed, katong sa last week, we discussed grammars, specifically Bacchus-Moore form na grammar. And then we also discussed tokenization. So, what do we do with a grammar and mga tokens sa atong source code? So basically, okay, mo ni siya. In the previous module, we learned that lexical analysis or tokenization allows us to extract tokens and identify the names of those tokens. But what are we going to do with that information? This is where syntax analysis comes in. So basically, syntax analysis takes those tokens and checks whether the sequence of tokens follows the language's grammar. It does this by attempting to construct a parse tree. So, for example, sa Python, let's just say Python. Okay. A is equal to 1 plus B. So this is a token, this is a token, this is a token, this is a token, and this is also a token. But how do we know if kani siyang string or kani siyang statement is valid? So sa syntax analysis, it will take these tokens and try to construct a parse tree. Okay, possible man na let's try A plus 1 is equal to B. So let's just say nga na. So may extract ya po ng tokens ani. Muna silang tokens. However, as we can notice, this is wrong na syntax. Yeah, this is syntax error. Kung yun siya iparun, it will result in a syntax error na message. So who identifies the syntax errors? It's actually your syntax analyzer or your parser. Okay? So again, ang tokenization or lexical analysis mo extract ng tokens. Meanwhile, ang syntax analysis, it takes those tokens and tries to create or construct a parse tree so that it can identify whether kana siya nga string or kana siya nga statement kay grammatically correct. Question so far? Yeah, okay. So next, we will try parsing the string 2021 using the grammar below. So recap lang on how we interpret the grammar for an integer. So basically, okay. So basically, an integer can be a digit or it can be a digit followed by integer. So diri lang sa tamang start. Okay. Let's try interpreting this. So ang integer kuno is or can be a digit. And then a digit na to kay 0, 1, 2, 3 until 9. So we can say that kani sila nga numbers, these are integers. Okay? So, ang integer pod kay mo na sila ang ato ginatawag nga whole numbers. They're whole numbers because wala sila decimal points. So, kung maingon na ganit tangat, kung maingon na ganit tag 2021.0, this is not an integer anymore. This is now what we call a decimal number. Okay? Pero kung tanggalon na nato ang 0.0, kung 2021 lang, it would be an integer. Okay? So, para lang klaro ang mga terminologies na to. Sige. So, na-analyze nila to, an integer can be a digit. However, an integer can also be a digit followed by another integer. So let's just say nata string no 1, 2, 3. So we can see that number 1, kaning 1 is a digit and kaning 2, 3 is an integer. So nag-follow gyapon siya sa rules sa tong grammar. So basically 1, 2, 3 is also an integer. And also, Kaning 2, 3, we can also break it down further. Ang 2, may mo siyang digit. Si 3, may mo siyang integer. So, ga-follow gyapon ang 2, 3, ga-follow gyapon siya nga rule. Digit followed by integer. Lastly, ang integer nga 3 can be broken down into a digit. Ano siya? Okay. So now, let's proceed with parsing the string 2021. So of course, we start with the initial na non-terminal, which is integer. And then, we break it down or expand it to digit integer. Kani siya. Expand it to digit integer. And then, kaning digit, it will become 2. Kani? 2. Next. Next, kani siya nga integer. Kani nga integer, we can also break it down to digit integer. Gyapon. Kita. And then, ang digit can become 0. And then, kani nga integer, we can break it down into digit integer again. And then, ang digit, may mong 2. Ang integer, since isa naman lang kabuk ka character ang nasa ubos, digit na lang siya. Dili na siya digit integer. So, digit na lang. Okay? Which is 1. Yan na lang. So now we have constructed our parse tree. So you can also notice nga ang leaf sa atong tree is just basically katong input nga string na to. Questions about this? Naigikalibgan how to construct? Wala? Okay. Let's proceed. So let's try again parsing the string if a is lesser than 10. Let's assume that our starting symbol or non-terminal is kaning if statement. So, ano siya? Ito butang dire. So, gi-break down na to ang if statement. You can see if, then the condition, then closing parenthesis, and brackets. Curly braces. So, more ni siya inyong makita dire. Kana. So, that's basically it. Okay? Then, after that, we can break down condition. So if we take a look, condition can be an atom, comparator, and then atom. Mall man niyang definition. Atom, comparator, and then atom. Sumupod na ang atom, gibutang diri kung breakdown na to. Afterwards, ang atom can either be a variable or an integer. So however, we can see sa atong input na A. A is basically a letter. Okay? And then, the letter is a variable. So, a variable can be a letter or a letter followed by a variable. One line lang siya. Okay. So again, si variable can be a letter or a letter followed by a variable. Then ang letter na to kay A to Z. So mo ni siya nga atong na breakdown ng atom into a variable. Breakdown pagid ang variable into letter. And then ang letter breakdown to A. Okay? Next, kaning comparator. So may possible nga values ni comparator. So basically, ang possible values lang ni comparator can be a greater than symbol, greater than, or lesser than the symbol. However, we can see there is atong string. It is lesser than. So we write lesser than under comparator. There's itong parse tree. Next, kaning rightmost nga atom, we can break it down into an integer because as you can see, 10 man ang atong token dire. Then you know the drill on how to parse an integer. So an integer can become a digit followed by an integer. Yung katong digit, name mo siyang 1, and then ang integer, name mo siyang digit, and then ang digit, name mo 0. Okay? So now we have constructed our parse tree. Then again, ang leaf sa atong tree is basically ang atong output nga string. So ang atong leaf nga dahon, muna siya, terminology sa graph theory. So ang leaf na to kay kani. If A is lesser than 10, closing parenthesis, open curly brace, close curly brace.